Hello, welcome back to another page in the Concertina Sketchbook. Today I'm going to be using Derwent Inktense and Derwent Academy pencils, coloured pencils. So the Inktense I've been wanting to get my hands on for yonks because they're supposed to be really interesting. They are basically a kind of watercolour pencil, but it has the colour intensity of inks. But it also becomes water fast. It becomes fast once it's been wetted and dried. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's sorcery. It's like, you mean I can get the watercolour effect with lovely colours and it be really cool, and then not have to worry if I go over it with something else that it's going to be all like melty and turn all muddy. So yeah, so I've been playing with those for a while. But I wanted the watercolour pencils as well because they're slightly more subtle in their colourings. I kind of wish I'd got the bigger box of Inktense because having worked with it a bit, I like the intensity of the colour, but there's not quite the range of colour I'd quite like. But, you know, we live and learn. This picture is a depiction of the legendary stuff that comes up as the antichrist comes of age. So this is kind of like Atlantis and a kraken. I don't really know how to explain it better than that. It's sort of, the Atlantis is just, I've just made sort of random building-y type shapes, and I'm making it's more like a weird geometric abstract composition than it is like an actual set of buildings. But you know, sometimes it's how it be. I mean, who needs perspective? Am I right? Sip of tea there. Num 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 num. A bit of my big tea mug. Well, not my biggest tea mug, which is too big. This one is a 2-bag tea mug. So that's the Derwent Academy pencils there that I'm using, which are very much, as you would expect, watercolour pencils to be. I'm not entirely sure about this brush that I'm using. It's one of those ones I bought off of Wish that's, it's basically like £1 for 10 or something ridiculous like that. Actually, maybe more than that. Maybe more pencils. So yeah, so what I'm trying to do is get sort of watercolour effect underneath, so lots of like subtle layers, and then I'm going to use the Inktense ones to add a bit more oomph to the colours. So, because heck, why not? I do like a good cephalopod personally. I don't know how you feel about a good cephalopod, whether you're a fan of squids and octopuses. Octopusy cat. This is not an octopusy cat, this is a kraken. So I'm trying to, so this is the Inktense going in now. So the Inktense are the ones with the dark blue paint and varnish on them, so and the Academy ones are the ones with the sort of woody effect. But yeah, so you can see how much stronger a colour you're getting out of this. There you go, and even on the wet, the Academy ones just aren't as dense a colour, if that makes sense. I quite like using watercolour pencils on wet paper because you get those really strong lines, but the Inktense are just another level. Look at that blue, very juicy. I mean, blue is not, look at that. Then you go over it with the other one and it's like, but it's quite nice because it means you can add sort of gradients, and you can be very specific about where you put your strong colours. And since where the Kraken is has to be deep water, because obviously Kraken's a big boy. He's a big boy. So you get the deeper colours there, and then as you get towards that landmass there with the buildings on. I'm not saying I've done a particularly good job here, but I'm actually quite pleased with the end result of this particular image. Not that you know what it looks like yet, but at the moment I'm just trying to I'm playing with this. I mean, the sea's a tricky one to draw anyway, because I mean I'm making it very blue here, but of course actual sea is not this blue. But I mean the whole point of this is that it's the physical manifestation of the imagination of a young boy. Well, a young boy, an 11-year-old boy. 11-year-old. That's very bright. I must have opened the window, let some sunlight in. This is what happens. Yeah, the colours all over the show. It's strobing because the white paper is very, very white. I can't remember if I've got the light on here as well. I must have the light on here as well. So it's probably too much light and it's overwhelming the camera a bit. And I've got... Yeah, so those are quite... I mean, those pencils were... The pencils were not cheap. The Inktense pencils are not cheap. You look it up on the interweb. I got mine when they were half price, which is why I got the smaller pack rather than the larger, because the larger pack wasn't on half price, the smaller pack was. No, the brushes were quite cheap. I quite like that one because it's quite thin. It's quite a thin brush, but it's got a nice length to it, so you've got a bit of... It's almost, but not quite like a rigger brush. So slightly shorter proportions than a rigger brush would be, but definitely longer than a normal round brush. So it just gives me a little bit more control. But I can load up lots and lots of liquid, lots of water or paint on it. Here I am, tentacling away. And that's also part of the reason why I went for such a blue sea. I don't know why the word sea wasn't coming into there, because then that gives you the... When I put the sort of bluey green tealy colour on the... I mean, I could have made the Kraken any colour. I could have made it purple or orange or whatever. I don't know why I went for a sort of traditional greeny colour. I suppose there's a bit of... In the back of my mind there was a touch of the Cthulhu's. And I always think of Cthulhu as being kind of greenish. So there's lots of different mystical monsters in my brain when I do these things. It's very rarely I'm just thinking about one particular monster, because there are different kinds of Kraken. I mean, if I was going to do a traditional Kraken, you'd have like either the big sort of turtly looking boy with the oh god, so there's two different ones, isn't there? There's the one that kind of looks like a turtle but not really like a turtle, that has the landmass on top, and then there's the other one that looks like a big giant octopus or a big squid that's got a bit of landmass on the top, like. But this obviously has had no landmass, because I can't think what island would be. I mean, if you were an island, would you be a Kraken? Which island would be your Kraken? I mean, would you have one of the... I suppose it'd have to be... So, Atlantis is either in the Mediterranean or in the Atlantic. And I always thought the Kraken was a sort of... Kraken. Was either sort of North Sea, North Atlantic, or Mediterranean-y. So it's kind of a slightly different proposition. I think because the Kraken always sounds, or the Kraken always makes me think more Nordic, even though I don't think it's specifically Nordic. I think the Greek stuff. I mean, you got all that bloody, those films, haven't you? Those horrible recent films of, was it the Titans, not Teen Titans, Clash of the Titans, and the other one. I like the old ones with all the Harryhausen animations. They were cool. I mean, totally different to what we could do now, but then that's not a bad thing. Here I'm trying to make the city look more city-like. I'm not sure I succeed, but you know, an attempt was made. Thing is, I'm trying to put too many different kinds of architecture here, so I've got bits that look sort of medieval, bits that look super modern, bits that look, but then I kind of always think that that's how Atlantis would be. The fact that it's, you know, it's supposed to be so far advanced, but it was supposed to be sort of ancient Greek age-ish, or pre-ancient Greek. It's just like the idea that they've already covered all of the different architectural styles. I haven't got anything particularly Gothic in there, which is a shame, because I do like a bit of Gothic architecture. Bit Gothic. Though that bit there I'm doing looks like the top of the Barbican in London. It's like, oh look, we've made it all brutalist, but we'll put some plants and that'll make it pretty. It's like, dude, lean into the ugly, that's what I say. Although those flats in have you seen Kingsman? Eggsy like leaping over the flats and stuff, that's all in the Barbican. It's quite expensive to live in the Barbican. I don't think his mum could afford it. But there you go, what do I know? I may be talking balls. It's been a long time since I've lived anywhere near there, which is sad. I kind of miss it, but there you go, that's just me. Now I have to say that the one pencil that the Inktense really could have done with it is a white one, because the in the Academy tin, the white pencil's really handy. I know little people are like, well, why do you need a white pencil? It's like, actually, it's quite useful, especially if it's a nice soft one, because you can add highlights and, you know, tone down some of the colours. Because even if you put things on fairly gently, once you water them down and they become a block colour, you're losing some of your. You can see that I've added in like little highlights and little bits with the white in there. I'll show you a bit of a close-up later. It's like, Atlantis. If I were Atlantis, what would I be? I would be moist. Yeah, it would be moist. That's the thing. What keeps Atlantis to, you know, why would it raise up again? How do they live under the water? Doesn't matter. It's magic. Magic doesn't count, or something. Got a little bit of adding in a few black lines there just to give it a bit of. I don't know, it always makes it look a bit cartoony, but sometimes you just need that sort of definition, you know. Especially in things like architecture, because it's like. What I mean, even in when you see a normal watercolour, when someone does architecture, quite often you've got the quite strong pencil lines in there. I swear a lot of people go in afterwards and re-add the pencil lines, because once you go over the pencil lines in watercolour, sometimes it just sort of, it makes them look a bit washy. You know, it sort of takes off some of the definition of it. So yeah, so I added a bit there, made it look a little bit cute, because heck, why not? And also it's supposed to be an illustration, it's not a photograph, although I'd love to see the person who got a photograph of Atlantis. That'd be quite funny. Can't remember if I do it with the Kraken as well. probably, because I'm like that. I worry. Send me a little thing. I added some pencil in there because sometimes the pen is too dark and you need something else. What am I trying to do here? Yeah, trying to give it a bit more distance. I suddenly realised that I put too many hot colours in the thing. And the problem with hot colours is, of course, they pop it forward generally. Although there are certain shades of blue that should retreat but actually pop forward, which is always a bit weird. Oh, am I going for some spume here? Some breakers around the island. Oh, some breakers around here, make it look like it's actually, yeah, good. Got some sparkles. Got some sparkles on the ocean waves. Sparkle, sparkle. A little bit of detailing. Yeah, I didn't like that one. I like the shape, but somehow the colour was just like blur. I was kind of going for something that looked a bit like a harp or a wave, like that that hotel in, is it Abu Dhabi? The one that looks like a big sail. It's like famous for having special. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Adding a bit of texture to the skin of this bad boy, giving him a little bit of angry orange, greeny yellow colour. Yeah. Trying to get detail in there, using pencil to do that. Obviously didn't want anything quite as deep as actual black pen. Yeah. Bit of a seawall, bit of a, trying to give it a bit of depth, taking out some of the red. Yeah. I mean, they're all things that other people necessarily even notice, but I'm just like, that bugs me. Yeah. I don't know what happened there, a bit of pause, I would imagine. This is where I try and do little, basically the idea is that they're little, teeny tiny little people. I'm trying to give you some sense of scale by doing these little dots which are actually people. Which means that the plants on top of that building are very, very tropical, because they would have to have massive leaves. But I didn't think about that at the time. And just a little bit, just to bring out the edges of where the kraken is, just with pencil. Didn't want to overdo it with the black pen. But this one's nearly finished anyway. This one was quite a nice one. It went fairly swimmingly for me. So please, if you like these, don't forget to like them and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.